This program is brought to you by the University of Michigan. For more information, visit umich.edu.
Thank you, Christina. It's my great honor and a pleasure to introduce Holly Hughes today. Holly Hughes is an internationally renowned performance artist, as many of us know. She's also a playwright and director. She's been named by a number of critics, including several in the New York Times, as one of the most important humorists of our time. She's written, produced, and performed a long list of original performance works and presented them throughout the U.S. and abroad, including at the Public Theater in New York, the Institute for Contemporary Art in London, the Hammer Museum, Los Angeles, the Yerba Buena Center, San Francisco, the Brooklyn Academy of Music, Painted Bride, Philadelphia, Drill Hall, London, and many, many others. Holly's awards and fellowships include 4 National Endowment for the Arts fellowships for solo performance art, 3 NEAs for projects, 1 for playwriting, 2 Obie Awards, a Rockefeller grant, a Ford Foundation grant, and many others. She has published 2 books on performance art, O Solo Homo, the New Queer Performance, which won the Lambda Book Award, and Clit Notes, a Sapphic sampler, and her book in progress is titled Memories of the Revolution, the First 10 Years of the Home for Wayward Girls. Holly received her undergrad degree from Kalamazoo College and did postgraduate work at the New York Feminist Art Institute, and she studied with playwrights and performance companies in New York. She has taught performance art at Harvard, NYU, the State University of New York, and other schools. We're truly fortunate at the University of Michigan to have one of the most foremost performance artists of our time as our colleague and teacher and mentor. Please welcome Holly Hughes. Here's Holly.
Just breathe, just breathe. I am a good professor. Yeah, I am a good artist. Oh, yeah. I know a lot about art and design that I like to profess. The students really love performance art. Oh, yeah, just breathe, just breathe. Just breathe with me. I can do it, I can do it. Yeah. I am going to go out on stage on the Michigan Theater, and I am going to accomplish my 2 goals. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. 1, I am going to entertain and enlighten 400 undergraduates who are being held here against their will, while simultaneously, number 2, persuading my esteemed colleagues that I am worthy, I am serious, I am worthy of long-term employment at this distinguished university. I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. I just have to breathe, I just have to breathe. Don't think, Don't think about how these two goals are in conflict with each other. No. Don't think about the contacts that the undergraduates are being held here against their will, that they're under caffeinated, and what I might have to do to keep them awake might conflict with the other goal, the goal of getting long-term employment. Just breathe. Just breathe. I am worthy. I'm funny, but I'm serious. I have a syllabus. I have gravitas. I am worthy of secure, long-term employment. I'm not going to think about any of those worries that are coming in right now because I'm going to listen to myself, okay? I'm just going to listen to myself, to that little, small voice deep inside me. Why is it so small? Why are all the other voices that are so much louder? Why are they crowding me out? Where do these people come from? All these voices that are inside me, where did they come from?
So, can you believe this penny stamp series? Can you believe I pay, like, money to go to art school, and then they make us go and listen to these artists and shit, and, like, this semester, it's like all naked lesbians. I mean, like, how much performance art do you have to sit through to get a BFA, okay?
Shut up! Shut up! I won't listen to it. I won't. No, I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm going to entertain all of you whether you want it or not. And it's going to be educational entertainment, so sit down and shut up. Because I'm going to tell you what I've been up to for the last 20 plus years as a performance artist. And I'm going to list all my accomplishments and all of my future plans. But I'm not going to do it in a self-aggrandizing way, no. I'm gonna place my personal story in the history of something much larger, like the history of performance in all of its forms and guises, yeah. And then I'm going to take that history, I'm going to put it in the history of modernism. Oh, but wait, there's more. Then I'm going to take on, like, postmodernism. And then I'm going to critique modernism, and then I'm going to critique postmodernism. Oh my God, they're falling asleep already. I haven't even started the talk. I'm just doing my affirmations, and they're already falling asleep. All my colleagues are going to be saying.
They were asleep before she even started. She's not tenure material. Why, I can keep them awake for 5, 6, even 7 minutes at a time. Get the hook.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't breathe. I should just think. Maybe, okay, so 400 undergraduates fell asleep before I even went out on stage, before I could even dazzle them with all my accomplishments and my plans for the future. Since when do I care about reality? I laugh at reality. Reality is for the people. For other people. I mean, would I have had a career in performance art if I paid any attention to reality? So what if the students fall asleep? All I need is the appearance of them staying awake, yes. So I'll round up some of the students, some of the good students, there's a few of them, they're in performance art, and I'm going to have them pass out like little masks. Yeah, go out in the audience, break the fourth wall. Little paper masks with eyes drawn on them. Oh, that's really good. That's so postmodern. It's like eyes, but like eyes in quotes, like vision, but like metavision, and it's like the eyes in the visual arts, and it's saying that the School of Art and Design really needs a performance artist. That's right. Oh, that's good. That's good. And it says something about my teaching method. It's like making the students responsible for their own learning and blurring the lines between teaching and creative practice. And it's all about identity, isn't it? That's what the masks are about. It's like we're all wearing masks, and they're these little masks that someone else has made, and we're all wearing, oh, that's so good, that's so good. And then if they have the mask, I won't worry about the students seeing something that they don't want to see, you know, something slightly smutty, or maybe they won't see something that's smutty enough. I'll just pretend because they'll have the masks on, and I won't worry. I won't worry about the students starting to feel excluded when I start doing all that, like, you know, that feminist shit and that queer stuff. I know they really don't like that, but they'll have, I'm going to make them feel included because I'm going to pass out these little passes that say gay for a day. Well, I don't know, maybe I don't have enough money to make them gay for the day. Maybe just gay for the next hour and a half. And so when they start thinking that gay rights are special rights, I'll just remind them, you are special, and you. And you, and you, and I'm special. We're all special. Gay rights for everyone. Special rights for everybody. And maybe I'll start with a little biographical detail at the beginning. Maybe I'll just start with a nice little slide of mom and dad. Maybe that would be nice. I wonder if I need to say anything about the fact that these people are my real parents as opposed to those freaks that gave birth to me. I really don't want to waste my few moments on stage at the Michigan Theater talking about the disaster that was my biological family. Of course, everyone knows that just because you share DNA with someone, it doesn't mean you have anything to say to them. Although it is an exciting story of how I ran away from home when I was just a tiny, tiny tot of 27. And somehow, I don't know how, I got myself on a big jet plane and I flew for, I don't know, at least an hour. And I got far, far away from Saginaw, and somehow through the strangeness of strangers, I found myself in a small island off the coast of the United States, Manhattan. New York City, the East Village in the twilight of the Carter administration, a time when vaginas roamed the earth. I wonder if any students can even picture that. Oh, I know they still have vaginas, but isn't it kind of a seasonal item? I mean, it's December because they start having the Nutcracker Suite and the Christmas Carol, and you always know it's February because that's when the vaginas come out of the ground and they start looking for their shadows, and then they start monologuing all over the place. I mean, the vagina monologues. Is it just me, or are vaginas not what they used to be? I mean, vagina monologues. It's such a lonely image. I mean, I just see a vagina sitting in some dark fern bar talking to herself. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just getting old, but I remember a time when vaginas used to have more friends. I don't think I should say the word vagina on stage. No, I won't do that. That would be kind of career suicide. I mean, I'll just kind of let it be the subtext. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to be all subtle and layered and stuff. Yeah. Because I don't want to confirm that suspicion that I'm just one of those annoying feminists that see everything either as an issue or a vagina. I'm not that kind of person. I am so much more. I guess this is where the acting comes in. I'm going to have to get my act together, or act like I've got my act together, and I think I'll start with the first act I got together, The Well of Horniness. Oh, even though it's the first piece I did, it's still getting presented. There were 4 productions this year, over 100 productions in the life of this piece, including 3 productions this year at places like the Celebration Theater in LA, the Source Theater in Washington, D.C., PS 122, and then other more imaginatively titled venues like this. Screaming Weenie Productions. I love my work. And then I'll provide a little context, how the first production made the list of the top 51 avant-garde events in the Village Voice, and I'll say it was right up there with the first Futurist manifestos, Alan Capro's Happenings, Vito Conci masturbating, Piero Manzoni canning his own shit and selling it for gold, right up there. Well, maybe I won't mention that last example. Maybe I'll just skip over that. Oh, no. What am I talking about? It's the School of Art and Design. I mean, they know from avant-garde. They are avant-garde 24/7 up there on North Campus, and they'll understand how discomfort, outrage, shock even have been used as aesthetic strategies for over 100 years. So I'll just jump right in. I'll just get started. I'll introduce the performers, and I think this is a very good time for our distinguished guest from the School of Music, Mr. Steve Rush, to start playing the organ. Steve Rush. And I'd like to point out that this is a stage reading of a piece originally performed as a radio play on WBAI in New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Aaron Markey, Johanna Schuster-Craig, Brian Hybor, all graduates of the University of Michigan 2004, and School of Art and Design seniors Megan Hildebrand and Sarah Hall-Werda, and MFA candidate Jim Leha, in the Ann Arbor premiere of Part 1 of The Well of Horniness.
Finally, the story they said couldn't be told shatters the airwaves. Brought to you by House of Shaggin' Stuff, where tomorrow's carpets are here today. And by Clams A Go-Go of Passaic, where our motto is, shellfish is a swell dish. Happy housewives know that when it comes to eating out, 9 out of 10 men think of one thing.
Give me fish.
I want filet.
And remember, we deliver. When you're thinking of sending something special to that special someone, why not say it with fish?
Yes? 3 shrimp dinners?
I didn't order any shrimp dinners. This must be somebody's idea of a sick joke.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's the well of horniness. The continuing saga of one woman's sojourn in the septic tank of the soul.
Harold, come over here a minute. Right this minute.
What is it, Louise?
It's those 2 new girls down the block, Harold. Something about the way they walk. Something about the way they talk. Something about the way they look at each other. Harold, I could swear they're Lebanese.
You're just imagining things, Louise. They're just a couple of sorority girls.
Have we got news for you, Harold? Those 2 girls are members of the Tri-Delta Tribads, an alleged sorority, but in reality just a thinly veiled entrance to the well of horniness. The setting, a peaceful New England town. Just a town like many others, a town that clasped American values to her bosom. An American town where every winter day is a white Christmas. And every Wednesday night is Prince Spaghetti Night.
Anthony!
Just a town like many others with its local pubs and taverns.
Monsieur, the Blue Nuns in 1979.
And dinner theaters where tone-deaf MCs flourish and where the citizens can go to meet or cheat that someone special. 1, 2, 3.
Like taking candy from a baby.
But beneath the apparently serene breast of a new fallen snow, a whirlpool rages, sucking the weak, the infirm, the original, and all others who don't wear beige down, 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 as carrots in the Cuisinart. So are souls in the well of horniness. Meet Georgette. Hello, White Casa. The usual. You know, the way I like it. Extra hot. Coming from one of the town's most established families, her pedigree was unblemished except for a drop of Catholic blood on her mother's side of the family. But underneath the cloak of respectability, evil budded in her bosom. By the time she had pledged her college sorority, Georgette had already fallen into the well of horniness. And Vicky, oh Vicky, the town's leading Excedrin consumer.
Darn these childproof tops!
A recent emigre to this town, like many others, she came to this quiet hamlet to forget. By day she clips coupons and attends aqua-size classes.
And splish, and splash.
By night she prays for amnesia. Few would guess this well-groomed word processing trainee was once of the sisterhood of sin. The memories gnaw at her mind like starving hamsters in a Kleenex box. Is there any hope for Vicky? Is there any hope for anyone once they've fallen into the well of horniness? And here's Rod.
Honey, I'm home. Hey, what you got there for me?
I made some Harvey Wallbangers.
Vicky's fiancé, Georgette's brother, Rod, once had dreams of becoming a golf pro. But like many young men of his milieu, his youthful idealism was trampled by his drive for success. The the punch bowl from his graduation open house was barely drained when he became a VP in the family business, a chain of discount carpet warehouses. Rod and Vicky, on the surface, just a couple of lovebirds, about to tie the knot. Then our happy couple makes a date with destiny.
Hey, Vic, what do you say to a little R&R?
Okay.
Why don't I give my sister Georgette a ring? I've been dying for the two of you to meet.
Oh, Rod, I really don't feel up to a crowd.
What's a crowd? She's family. Besides, you'll love her, and come to think of it, you two are in different chapters of the same sorority.
What did you say, dear?
The same sorority, the Tri-Delta Tri-Bats. Oh, come on, Vic. I remember how you loved that club and those gals.
You don't understand. I can never see those women again.
So who says you have to mention the sorority at all? You'll be gabbing about color swatches and floor buffers. Why, in no time at all, you'll be bosom buddies.
Now I'll never be able to keep the secret of my past from him. Those so-called sorority sisters.
Vicky, a would-be word processor with a past she can't outrun.
I can't believe his sister is one of them. They're everywhere.
Later that night, Rod and Vicky arrive at the fabulous new dinner theater, the Vixen's Den, where Georgette is already waiting.
When you're good, tell Mama, Mama's good to you. Miss, you're gonna have to check that. Haven't seen you in a while.
Oh, hi, how you doing?
Since when do you care? Oh, Georgette, sorry. It's just that I thought, after we spent together, it was
All
special.
right, Kenneth Babs, I'm here to meet my family. Whoa, wowza. Hey, Babs, who's that foxy lady over there by the palms, huh? What's the scoop on her?
Welcome to Vixen's Den. Can I get you something to drink while you're waiting?
Miss, I'd like a Harvey Wallbanger. Miss, make it a double.
I don't know, and I don't care who she is.
Yeah, well, I do. See you around, Babsy.
Oh, Georgette. Okay, call me, or I'll call you, or Georgette, if I said anything mean about you, I didn't mean it. All right, call me.
Georgette cuts through the dining room as surely as a honeybee picks out the last wildflower in a field of crabgrass. And where is our hero? There he is, threading his way through the salad bar.
Pardon me, ma'am. Somebody else might want some croutons, too.
Will Rod return in time to save his beloved from the predatory clutches of his own flesh and blood? We'll find out after this word from our sponsor.
High cost of wall-to-wall keeping you awake at night? Would you like to cover up the cement floor in the master bedroom with something or other, but you can't shell out an arm or a leg? Then visit New England's chain of carpet warehouses, House of Shag and stuff. We're open 24 hours just to serve you better. Take a look at these beauties. Oh, sorry, we're on the radio. Just listen to these colors. You won't believe how loud they are.
Green, red, orange, yellow, hot pink.
Yes, sirree, this week and this week only, we're running a chain-wide special on these polytrilon 100% washable throw rugs in designer colors. Throw them anywhere, the kitchen, the living room, throw them at the kids. Say, hey, dads, are you got tired of mowing that big green expanse of nothingness? Do you have a fortune sunk in weed killer? Pave the whole thing over and just toss a couple of these babies around for accent. They'll never notice, and I'll never tell. Once you see our low prices and easy terms, you'll be bitten by the bug, too. Shag Fever! So hurry on down to one of our convenient locations or come by our main branch and showroom right off Route 17 in this town, a town like many others. Vicky, hon, this is my sister Georgette. Hey, I'm so glad the two of you, my two favorite gals, are finally meeting.
So lovely. Enchanté, I'm sure.
Hasta Rivederci, coming in for a landing.
Georgette, for Christ's sakes, this isn't a hamburger joint.
Despite her resolve, Vicky finds she cannot resist the way Georgette plays with her food. What's the matter, honey? You sit in a puddle, or are you just happy to see me?
Miss, are you gonna order something or are you just gonna eat hers?
Noodles all around, Garçonetta, and while you're at it, how's about a little fruit of the vine to wash this slop down?
Very well, monsieur.
Oh, sacre bleu! Pardon-moi. Will you get a load of that? What is it with you guys? You're running a wet t-shirt contest on the side.
Oh, let me try. Usually if you get it while it's still damp.
A little club soda.
Well, what do you know? It's another testimonial to the miracle of synthetics.
Look at me. Look at the fork.
Oh, you dropped your fork.
As Georgette's fork clatters to the ground, something darker than etiquette draws Vicky down.
Excuse me.
I suppose I should wait until after dinner, but I just really wanted
What
to
began innocently enough takes a turn for the worse underneath the table. Vicky finds no cutlery but Georgette's legs, two succulent rainbows leading to the same pot of gold.
She doesn't have a better putt than I do. Well, that's neither here nor there. I just mean you can't spend all your time in bed, right? I mean, that South Seas Plantation offers a lot. It's got about 20 minutes from the Tampa Stampede Airport, 90 minutes from Disney World and Busch Gardens. And Georgette, get a lot of this private beach. It's pretty reasonable, too, if we take the Americana plan. I mean, the breakfast, the green teas, the happy hour, they're all rolled in. Although I'm a bit wary of these all-inclusive deals. I mean, there's always big charges that match no savings at all. I mean, you gotta be careful with damn travel agents. They see the rock on her finger and they see the stars in my eyes. They'll stalk you every time. Am I right? Well, you know, I swear to God, they'll laugh all the way to the bank. But here's some of the brochures. They really look great on paper. Take a gander at them. Hey, Vicky, what's up? Did you find that fork yet? We can always just get another one from the waitress. No, what's going on? Did you come up too soon?
I'm just feeling a little hot, Rod. I think I better go freshen up.
You do that. Georgette, I've been a bit concerned with Vicky lately.
Yeah?
Yeah, something's fishy. I can't put my finger on it. Can you?
I'm working on it. Maybe I better go check on her.
Great, I would hate for her to miss the floor show.
But their romantic powder room rendezvous is cut short.
Oh my God! She's been shot.
As Georgette's perforated remains cool by the powder room, Vicky gives the maitre d' the slip
Can you wrap this for me?
and is swallowed by the silent orifice of the night.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Future carpet queen slays sister-in-law during the floor show.
Vicky, a ruthless killer? Or just a girl with a lot of luck, all of it bad? We'll find out after this word from our sponsor.
That's right! House of Shag and Stuff is expanding! We've opened a whole new floor with plenty of eager beaver salespeople to serve you better. Here's one of them now. Come up here, little lady, and tell us all about it.
Attention, Art Mart shoppers. We have a blue light special in the generic postmodernist department. In order to make room for the new 06s, Art Mart is slashing prices to the stretcher bars on these late model masterpieces. Damien Hirst, Matthew Barney, Elizabeth Payton. We've got brand names you want at prices you won't believe. What's the secret of Art Mart's everyday low prices? Shh. We buy directly from the artists as they're being thrown out into the streets and pass the savings to you, the art consumer. And all Art Mart paintings come with our new exclusive guarantee, 100% avant-garde or your money back. Remember, today's kit is tomorrow's collectible. Want something that will shock the neighbors for years to come? Let our home decorating department help you select that very special work in progress for any room in the house. And while you're art marting, visit the deli and check out the new Wiener Wonder Pesto Pop. Cuisine on a stick. Thank you for art marting.
But what really happened that fateful night at the salad bar? Was it something in the vinaigrette? Was there someone else who could have pulled the trigger? To many, the flight of the ex-muff diver, future mop squeezer Vicky was as good as a confession. What else but terrible guilt could make a woman in heels sprint? Or in the cramped quarters of the gay girl ghetto, blowing your girlfriend to kingdom come could be written off as taking your space. And what about Babs, the hat check girl? Their one-night stand left Babs stranded high on the bunny slope of love.
One night? One night? It was a whole weekend at Stovefinger Lodge.
Who killed Georgette? And who cares? And what will become of Vicky? Could it be she faces a brighter future in a prison rehab program than in today's saturated word processing field? And then there's Rod, whose entire life soured between the salad bar and the powder room. For answers to these and even more trivial questions, watch for the next episode, Victim Victoria. Good night and good luck.
Jim and Aaron and Johanna and Steve Rush and Megan Hildebrand. Thank you so much. Thank you, Carol Jacobson and Christina Hamilton, for wonderful introductions. Thank you for coming out, as I've been told you did this evening. I am good. All right. When I first arrived in New York City in 1979, I studied at the Feminist Art Institute, which grew out of the Heresies Collective, and I had this very specific image of what it was going to be like when I got there, an image that grew out of listening to Sister Sledge singing "We Are Family" over and over again at full volume, and I thought that Sister Sledge and the Pointer Sisters and probably some of the other sisters were going to meet me at the airport. And then we all pile into a cab and we go to the cooperative space where we collaborate cooperatively on some giant soft sculptures to put in Times Square. No one met me at the airport. None of the sisters were even speaking to each other, and no one in the city of New York made soft sculpture. Little did I know that there are feminisms for every room in the house, and they're not just for dancing anymore, and they're not just for women. I thought it was me. I thought I was the wrong one. I thought maybe I was just a bad feminist. But I was not alone. There were other bad feminists out there, and I got a lot happier when I took a wrong turn in the East Village and I found a gaggle of bad feminists holed up at the Wow Cafe on East 11th Street. The Wow Cafe, which described itself as a home for wayward girls. The members were women like me, feminists who had been kicked out of other feminist organizations. And we carved out a small space, the Wow Cafe, a cooperative space for the non-cooperative, where the only rule was no rules. And we weren't separatists in any sense of the word. We were open to men, even if we had debates about who exactly was a man. But for the first year, the person who answered the phone was a professional Santa. But WOW, which still continues, offers a space that's very important for women to present work without threat of censorship, even if it came in the form of artistic standards. And when I try to answer this question, how did you get started making your work? What can we do to stop it? No, that's not that's the subtext. The best answer I offer is peer pressure. I fell in with this group of people That's pretty much how we looked. And, you know, they were doing performance theater and different kinds of art. I could have fallen in with a group of duck hunters, and I could be out shooting lawyers in the brush with the vice president right now. Just a flesh wound. And I feel lucky to have worked at WOW, which still continues on East 4th Street, to work there with people like Lisa Crone, whose play Well is opening on Broadway next month, with Carmelita Tropicana, Eileen Miles, Sarah Schulman, Split Britches. You saw them a couple weeks ago, the Five Lesbian Brothers. And to be at the East Village at a time when it was a real petri dish for all sorts of things, not a perfect moment. There was gentrification, there was drugs, there was the war on drugs, and then there was AIDS. Questions of preservation and documentation haunt performance, particularly work that's not text-based. In November at the Guggenheim, Marina Abramovich offered a solution, enacting 7 famous performance pieces at the Guggenheim. And my more modest approach is to edit a group of scripts, monologues, rants, and photos from the WOW Cafe with Alina Troiano, aka Carmelita Tropicana. Okay, so perhaps I'm best known for some of my solo pieces, and here's some of them. All of them have a sort of autobiographical base, but I've kind of gotten around that James Fry, J.T. Leroy problem by describing them as new and improved autobiography. I openly admit that all of what I'm about to tell you is true, and some of it actually happened. I'm going to make a bold, I'm going to just go take a gander here and think that everyone, after seeing this play, after Split Britches, and some of you saw Dress Suits, I'm going to think you know what the major themes of my work are. So I'm just going to keep going. I've actually done a lot of ensemble pieces, as you can see. Collaborating with groups of students, working with artists like puppeteer Janie Geyser, Dan Hurlin, and of course the Split Britches. And my work has been presented in a variety of venues in the United States, Canada, the UK, and Australia, including traditional theaters, alternative spaces, community centers, museums, colleges, and universities. I like that, like on the alternative space slide, we have the public theater. That's kind of nice, isn't it? And I've won, oh yes, colleges. There they are, some of them. Vote for your favorite one. Okay, so I've won a number of awards. It's, you know, I'm very site specific. I'm going with the Michigan thing. Site specific, even though I can't talk. Including 2 Village Voice Obie Awards. Oh, that's good. I like it when the fish dissolves. And Carol went to the list, and there's nothing more interesting, I know, than listening to someone perform their resume, but I know, that's really entertaining, isn't it? But back in the day, the National Endowment for the Arts used to fund individual artists. Imagine that. And I suppose this is the moment, if there is a moment, to acknowledge one of the elephants in the room, the one that wanders into any room when my name is mentioned in the same breath with the phrase National Endowment for the Arts. I've spent a lot of time with this elephant. He demands acknowledgement, however brief. So in 1990, I found myself at the front lines of the culture war when I was one of 4 performance artists whose fellowships were first approved and then rejected by the National Endowment for the Arts. The media like to call us the NAA of 4, and occasionally Karen Finley and the 3 homosexuals. You remember us, we played your middle school prom. You were probably hoping for NSYNC, but you got us instead. We were kind of a boy band. Overnight, we became symbols, and the meaning assigned to us shifting with the political landscape, with whoever had hold of the megaphone at any moment. This isn't the moment to go into the whole story, a story that I took on in my solo preaching to the perverted, but I have to do a little gesture to the larger contexts. The NEA 4 is just one moment in a larger drama of right-wing led and funded attacks on publicly funded art. Right-wing led and publicly funded, or right-wing led and funded attacks on publicly funded art. A drama that set up lots of artists, hundreds of artists and arts organizations, had devastating effects on those targeted, and eventually led to the end of funding for individual artists through the National Endowment for the Arts. Now, the attacks on public funding weren't limited to the arts. The National Endowment for the Humanities was eviscerated from the inside under Lynn Cheney. All forms of sex education, especially safer sex education, was compromised during the same period in attacks led by the same people using the same tactics. And while this is going on in the public sphere, in the private sphere, there's all sorts of debates over music, especially rap music and movies. So the NEA 4, we sue, we eventually won reinstatement of our funding, but I have to say that this episode was probably the most painful journey of my life, less painful than the loss of funding. Not that I'm anyone to say that money is not meaningful, especially to an artist, but more painful was to witness the cowardice of the art world on both an individual and institutional level, as the vast majority took great pains to distance themselves from those censored. It was a great political education, and I learned daily how shallow, how limited the notion of tolerance is. And if I had more time, I don't think I could convey how difficult it is to hear your work denounced in magazines like The Nation, in Ms. Magazine, using the same terminology that Jesse Helms uses on the floor of the United States Senate. Artists singled in this culture war didn't just lose money, work opportunities. We had to contend with terror. It's a hard word to use after September 11th, but I stand by it because when you are told you're being investigated by a Senate subcommittee because you have been falsely accused of child pornography, when you receive letters, lots of letters, at your home that say, I know where you live, I have a gun, I'm coming to New York next week, when the presenter who brings you to North Carolina goes out to find the tires of his car slashed, the windows of his home broken, when the places you perform regularly receive bomb threats, what happens is you live in terror. So I survived, okay? Here's how I survived. I suspect the way that most people who survive something survive because they don't do it alone. Because there's other people that went through this, went through something much worse, and many of them helped me. I had legal representation from the ACLU, from the Center for Constitutional Rights. I survived because there's a small but vital feminist anti-censorship movement, because there's a radical movement that came out of the AIDS epidemic, and I survived because I made work about it, because I was able to partially transform the experience through making creative work. Okay, so this is a really abbreviated description. Anti-censorship activity is still important to me. At the same time, it's not the only question that's followed me. There's other questions, there's other elephants in the room. And I would say these elephants questions, which metaphor is she using? I don't know. Maybe it's time for her to take a sip of tea. Maybe it should have been herbal tea. I don't believe in herbal tea. That's for those people that believe in reality, herbal tea. So one of the questions that follows my work, not just my work, but all work that's politically engaged or comes from comes from what one might call a stigmatized subject position if one were auditioning for a full-time teaching position at a distinguished public university. Oh, look at this. 2 books. And I'm hoping that maybe that use of that phrase will persuade you to go out and buy a couple copies of these books from Grove Press. And I'm also hoping that the use of the phrase will convince you that, yes, I have what it takes to stay on at Michigan. Or maybe you'll want to buy an anthology You'll get like more bang for your buck. Other people in some of the anthologies I'm included in. This is a partial list. It's a really interesting experience performing a resume. I'm not sure that I really... Oh, and look at here. It's a beautiful cover by our own Phoebe Gluckner. Cover of a book called Angry Women. Not that either of us is angry. I'm not even sure I'm a woman most of the time, but let's not go there. Okay, so by far the biggest question raised about my work and the kind of work I make is, aren't you just preaching to the converted? And my thinking about this is indebted to Dr. David Roman, who's written articles about this and addresses it in his newest book. I think there's a couple of important faulty assumptions behind this question. The first is that everyone who has a particular identity agrees. And I can safely say that anyone who makes this accusation has never sat around till the wee moments with a group of gay people trying to come up with a poster at the 11th hour and having an ongoing battle about whether you're queer, or are you gay, or are you LGBTA, or should we buy some more vowels? The questions that, this question about identity, about audience, have followed my work into the more than 70 books in which my work has been discussed. The books here could be sorted into 4 piles. That's why there's 4 images: books about performance, about art, about censorship, and then there's the gay and lesbian pile. The gay and lesbian pile. And my work has also been the subject of articles, reviews, and a variety of publications. But in all of them, I think the work is addressed to questions of identity, of audience, and that's been central to those different kinds of discussion. The second assumption behind the preaching to the converted accusation that's problematic is that there's only one audience that matters, and it's that same audience that the Democrats went after so unsuccessfully last fall. It's 3 undecided voters in South Central Florida. And that really, if you're a politically engaged artist, that what you really want to do, what you need to do, is turn the Reverend Phelps of www.godhatesfags.com into a PFLAG, Dad, by watching your show. And failing that, the work has failed, has fallen short of its stated goals. I gotta say, if Fred Phelps said he liked my work, I'd have to kill myself. I'm persuading somebody like Jesse Helms to be more progressive in his point of view is more than I can hope to accomplish in 1 hour, even with a very nice power presentation by Jim Leha. I mean, if we were going to bring him up to speed, we'd have to start way back. I mean, way back in another century that might not have existed. So there are many goals, strategies, tactics employed by politically engaged artists, persuasion being only one, and not the one that's most interesting to me. I think this is an example of a jump cut, you know, when you've had one image on one train of thought, and then you get a completely other image that seems to be unrelated, but I love waitresses. I am a waitress, and I thought that this might be a sort of fun, if possibly stupid, way to talk about some of the service I've done here at the University of Michigan. It means we're within stride. I'm almost talking about the presentation. Isn't that lovely? Okay, so we're just going to go. So I'm working with people in art and design and theater and drama on a new program in inter-arts performance. We're hoping to have our new degree program launched in 2007. And then, can we have the next slide, please? And for this is the Dick Cheney breakfast. It's just like you want to eat before you go out duck hunting with a man. Which has nothing to do with what I have up there, but for the last year I've served as co-director of the Lesbian, Gay, Queer Research Initiative speaker series with David Halpern, and this year's focus is queer arts. That's what happened when you let an artist program a speaker series. Look what's happened. And so, and then, as someone said, I think Carol generously pointed out that I've been doing performance cabarets. I'll be doing one just hosting it with a variety of people at the Work Gallery this Friday, so you all come down. And now it's time to talk about teaching. Some of my teaching tools. I think there's nothing more that people who I teach like to hear about is my teaching philosophy. A little glimpse into the pedagogical toolbox, if you will. What's in there? Yeah. Is there? Okay, so last semester there was a young woman who raised a really important question in my outreach class. She came in from another class and she asked a question I take very seriously, and she said, "Is this the class that is doing all the laughing?" And one of the students said, "Well, yeah, and why don't you join us, because it's an outreach class," and we were reaching out to her, but she was not interested. She said, "We are down the hall and we are learning. And we cannot learn while you are laughing." Actually, I think it's a really serious question. I mean, what is the role of humor in the classroom, in the academy? What's the relationship between creative work and the pleasure signified by laughter? Of course, you know, creative work, intellectual work is work, but are learning and laughing necessarily in opposition? I mean, we know whose butts have been the butts of too many jokes. We know how humor can trivialize, humiliate, avoid, slice, dice, julienne. But humor it's just a tool. It's like software, a glue gun, a dictionary, some of those things that are in there that I don't know what they are. It's not. There's a hammer. If I had a hammer, I'd be somewhere else now. I could get hammered. I may have to. It's a tool. It can illuminate, it can challenge, it can bridge, it can wake you up. And as a teacher, I have to say, I especially love those moments in the classroom when you're all working on something, but you forget you're working. You forget about the horrible fluorescent lights. You forget you haven't had any sleep. In those moments when you're laughing and you are learning and you're not aware of it. Here's another one of my teaching strategies that I use, tug of war. Actually, in winter 2005, I had a new outreach course, Where the Wild Things Aren't, with the Huron Valley Humane Society, and students did a variety of projects in collaboration with the shelter, including documentary, fundraisers, graphics, animations for the website, and this event, Battle of the Pets, which grew into an event that involved the whole class under the leadership of Megan Hildebrandt, and in fall 2006, I hope to offer this course again. And here's another project that grew out of my outreach class this fall, the fall 2005 class, We Are Family. Chris Plum, Dave Klock, Mary Warbelow, Libby Unalays created these wonderful Allies posters. And now we're in the present tense, and we're going to see what's coming up. Yes, I have been commissioned by the Institute for Research on Women and Gender to create an original performance piece, Who's Afraid of Virginia Ham? To commemorate the Institute's 10th anniversary. I don't think they really thought we need a piece called Who's Afraid of Virginia Ham to commemorate their anniversary, but I'm sure they're very happy that they're getting that. As in the two other performances I've created here at Ann Arbor, the piece is going to be developed in collaboration with students over the course of the semester, and also on board is some of the people all of the people you saw up on stage here for the Well of Horniness, including Jim Leha, Brian Hybor, Aaron Markey, colleague Cynthia Pachikra advising us on the video installation, and 27 other undergraduates, most from art and design or theater and drama, but we have chemistry majors, English majors, and economics major. And this is the best part of the job. There's that thrill of working on a scale that is impossible for an individual artist in this economic climate. the thrill of creating a collaborative community, a lab, or creative strategies for different disciplines can cross-pollinate. And the form that the final performance takes will grow out of that community's identity, its strengths, its interests. So since the ham is still in the oven, let me describe the process a bit. Some of the questions that launched us, such as, what mythology surrounds Ann Arbor's name? Is there a hidden or silent history of the university in general? Does the discovery of such myths disrupt the image of Ann Arbor as a bastion? That's a word that we don't know. As a bastion of liberal tolerance, what kinds of historical reenactments take place at the university, and how do students interpret these reenactments? How are their lives in 2006 impacted, shaped by history, whether they're aware of that history or not? When Jim Leha and I spoke about this project at Lane Hall in December, we faced a lot of anxious questions about research, as in, was there any research going on? A perennial question for people who do creative rather than scholarly work. So I just want to talk about some of the research we've been doing. First, we scheduled a trip to the Bentley Library. It's a wonderful place. It's very close to the School of Art and Design. One student described it as a museum of scraps, the museum of ordinary life. And we got an orientation on how to use the library, how to handle fragile, one-of-a-kind items like old snapshots. And then they pulled out some boxes of materials on topics we were interested in this. And out of this research, different creative projects are born. For instance, a sculptor is incensed that the Bentley doesn't take three-dimensional objects, so she plans to build an archive of the unarchivable. Another student falls in love with a photograph of a man from the turn of the century, and he begins to think of this man as his husband, and that they're a couple in a long-distance relationship, and that begins a new performance piece. Another student becomes obsessed with Ann Arbor's namesake, Ann Allen, a figure who redefines complexity for us. Ann Allen was the product of the slave-owning South, her wealth measured by the 13 slaves she inherited when her father died. When her first husband died, she married a failed businessman who was able to seize her wealth, move her to Michigan against her will. And although she only lasts a few years in this area, she spends her time pining for literate companionship and slaves. She finally wiggles free of the bad marriage, leaves the town that's named after her. What are we to do with this information? What does it say about who we are, if anything? And another type of research was developed by Jim Leha, who divided the students into small groups, looking at historical sites like this theater, like the Frieze building. The students did some traditional research. They found out when the building was built, by whom, what uses it had, and then they went to the site and they documented it. And then they created monologues. They personified the building, creating monologues for the Michigan Theater, where she is the grande dame. She is Norma Desmond, straight out of Sunset Boulevard, and her heart is this organ. She looks down at her shabbier sister down the street, the State Theater. The Frieze building was beautifully filmed, both its lovely details and signs of wear and tear documented, and the performance begins to suggest the recollections of an elderly woman facing a terminal illness. So that's the kind of research that we are doing, and I invite all of you to join us, all 35 plus of us, at the Media Union Video Studio on April 14th, 15th, and 16th for Who's Afraid of Virginia Ham. A quick image from earlier collaboration, After a Fashion, which we presented at the True Blood Theater here, and later at the Guggenheim Museum in 2003. Another quick image from the Wow Cafe. One of the projects I have ahead of me is finishing the book that I mentioned earlier, and I hope to have the manuscript to the press before the start of fall 2006 semester. And finally, this isn't about anything. It's really cute, isn't it? No, actually, it's a new solo work. In all my solo work, I've looked at the larger political landscape through the lens of personal experience. And this latest effort, the Dog and Pony Show, Bring Your Own Pony, might be described as a meditation on my midlife crisis sung in the key of K9. I presented some sections at the Performance Studies International Conference at Brown last year, in New York City last summer, in a series I curated entitled Unleashed, and hope to complete the piece in early 2007 for the Queer Up North Festival at the Green Room in Manchester, England. The first section, The Come Command, is being published as an artist book through the Bookland series curated by Poets and Writers. And on closing, another incongruent image, but harkening back to my nautical days. In closing, I just really like to thank the staff here at the Michigan Theater. I'd like to thank, again, my cast and helpers today who put up with me. I'd like them to come out on stage. Brian Hybor, Megan Hildebrandt, Sarah Hallwerda, James Leha, Aaron Markey, Johanna Schuster-Craig. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.